we have had the, I wouldn't call it tragedy. It's worse than that. It's a crime against humanity. What happened off the coast of the Peloponnese, of Pylos. And I'm afraid that I'm going to fail to contain my depression and pessimism. Because in response to Miguel's question, what can we do? You will permit me to say, at least under the terrible influence of the verdict of the electorate here, that the answer is nothing. Please don't believe me and carry on fighting with a good fight. But at least for a few minutes, let's be honest with one another. We are facing a European polity that is complicit and absolutely guilty of sustaining the policies that are killing people, that are performing mass murder in the Mediterranean and elsewhere. The outrage over the drowning of hundreds of children and even more hundreds of adults off the coast of the Peloponnese, that outrage and sadness amongst the Greek population lasted no more than 10 seconds. No more than 10 seconds. There was a very feeble, very low-key, very badly attended rally, an anti-racist rally in support of the right of refugees to life and limb. The right-wing parties that are actively pursuing in the social media a line of they deserved it, they shouldn't have gotten on that boat. Why did they invade our space, our European space? Fuck them kind of attitude, excuse the French. They were out in strength and they won. They increased their vote. We have 4 ultra-right-wing parties with fascistic tendencies and, parties that are making no bones about it. They support the pushbacks. They support the fences. They support the prison camps in Libya for people whose only crime is the wish to escape a home that has become like the mouth of a shark. And I'm very much afraid that this is universal across Europe. I don't think there are many places around Europe which could not be described thus. Since we founded DiEM25 in February of 2016, when we were in the Volksbühne, during our speeches back then, warning Europeans that if Europe is not democratized, that if we don't move away from policies of austerity that are turning the majority of our peoples into victims of plunder on behalf of oligarchic capital, that the people will be desensitized. And this desensitization is going to lead to a postmodern version of the 1920s and 1930s, when we know very well that the deepening economic crisis and the deepening unease regarding the capacity of the average family or person to make ends meet is going to very easily turn into an ultra-right-wing racist onslaught. We were warning about that in 2016. And we were saying that the reason why we created DiEM25 was because of that prospect. And we failed. We put all our efforts into changing Europe by 2019, the European Parliament elections. We didn't elect a single MEP. The left collapsed. The Greens turned brown or black. Look at the German Greens in government today. Not a peep, not a word about any of this. Not a word about any of this. And the whole of the continent is shifting to the right. And the parties that are, winking at the population saying, okay, well, terrible thing that these people drown, but there's no alternative to allowing them to drown, or no alternative to creating the circumstances for them drowning. Because unless they drown, There are millions back in Africa or Asia, hundreds of millions who are watching to see whether these people will make it to Europe or not. If they see that they make it to Europe, safe and sound, then they will come too. So the message of our establishment of both the liberal center, or if you want the radical center, people like Borrell that you mentioned, Lucas, and the fascists is the same. These people need to be sacrificed. We are going to put on a show of fake crocodile tears when they die. That's what distinguishes the liberal center from the fascists. The liberal center pretends to cry over, the deaths and the drowning of these kids and adults. The fascists don't even shed crocodile tears. That's the only difference. They both think that deaths in the watery grave that is the Mediterranean are the only policy to stop migrants from coming. And they say so. I mean, they were telling me in Parliament, behind closed doors, there has to be death in the Mediterranean to stop them from overrunning us. The white replacement theory is alive and well. It is crap, of course, because, we are an aging continent. We need people. We need millions of people to come in because of our demographics. And you can see that they know that, because when white Christians flock in their millions, like the Ukrainians did, as a result of that other inhuman tragedy, the war in Ukraine, they open the doors, no problem. So it's pure racism. It's white replacement theory. And there is an explicit attempt to use mass death, to weaponize mass death in the Mediterranean, to build taller fences that maximize the number of people who drown in the Mediterranean, because when you build tall fences between Greece and Turkey, then of course they will bypass them with boats, and then they will drown, especially if you push back those boats. We have at least 864 incidents in Greece of pushbacks. They've been well documented. Pushbacks are not only a violation of international law, but it is a direct attempt to get people to drown. If not to drown, to get particularly wet and end up back on the coasts of Asia Minor in a terrible state, so that they can send an SMS back home to Kenya, to Pakistan, to Afghanistan, saying, I didn't make it, in order to deter others from coming. And if they can drown, that's even better, because then the message becomes stronger: don't come to Europe. Now, that's the reality. We have a duty not to window dress it, not to prettify it. Europe is an ugly continent of stupid populations who vote hands down, who vote enthusiastically and increasingly for misanthropic policies which are detrimental to the soul of Europeans. It's not even in the interest of Europeans to do this, not only because of the lack of people in this continent and the desertification of the continent, and the fact that we don't have enough labor. It's also the fact that they don't realize that the moment you start treating human beings with such contempt, the moment you instrumentalize and weaponize the death of people, then you have started very, very slowly, but very firmly, to sell your soul to the devil. And realize that the moment you start treating human beings with such contempt, the moment you instrumentalize and weaponize the death of people, then you have started very, very slowly, but very firmly, to sell your soul to the devil. And very soon you treat one another within your family, within your neighborhood, like a piece of shit. And so the result is that Europe now has won, without any doubt, the historic prize of uncivilized idiocy. And I very much fear there's nothing we can do about that. We will keep fighting, but we will lose. There's nothing we can do when the population of a country like Greece, which was very sympathetic to migrants up until a few years ago, after 750 people die off the coast of the Peloponnese, within 10 days, vote for the parties that celebrate those drownings. At that point, comrades, I throw my arms up in the air and I surrender. I don't really, but for a few minutes I feel like doing it. And then we keep struggling, and we will keep struggling until we're dead. But let's not be stupid and think that we're going to win. There's zero probability of victory. Mass death and uncivilized behavior has triumphed once and for all. I've never been so negative in my life. I had to be 62 to reach that point. Apologies for the bleakness. That's all I have to say.